Hey there!
Hey!
How are you?
What's up?
What's up?
No.
You started that.
So today we are recording at
Whatever time
11?
it is.
11. Like, this is mid-morning. This is the middle of the day for us.
We are hyped.
Yeah, because we've been awake for a long time now.
She had coffee. I had Red Bull.
I had 2 coffees.
Oh, I need another Red Bull then. To
Yep.
Keep up with you.
You want to go? If you want to go get them, I'll stall.
So check this out.
You just totally ignored me.
As usual. Tomorrow
Ignore
is
this.
the day. Members only call tomorrow.
Wait.
First members only call is tomorrow.
It's tomorrow?
Yeah.
I thought it was next week. Oh, it is tomorrow.
Yes.
It is tomorrow. I was way off.
February
Wow.
29th, tomorrow.
Can't wait.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm excited. I didn't know it was tomorrow.
So if you haven't jumped on yet, now's the time to jump on and make sure you don't miss.
Yeah, because
gonna
we
be a lot
want
of
you
fun.
to be on there with us. We want to be able to talk to you.
Members only Facebook group. We've got giveaways we're doing. And but the call is the best part about it, where we can have a literal conversation, and I don't just have to guess what it is that you're saying.
Right.
Or wait for the comments to come in to respond. We can have a little conversation. And we're going to be talking about resolving conflict in marriage. We'll have a worksheet to go along with it to help you take some actionable steps. And so jump on there, familymeeting.org, go to shop, and you'll see it right there.
Sweet. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Tomorrow. You ready to go?
I'll see you guys next day.
I don't know what's going on with you, but you are out of it today.
I know. Okay.
You need one more coffee. One more coffee should do it.
One more. Okay. Go ahead, babe. I'm good.
Hold on.
I'm in the zone.
I'm either going to sneeze or burp. Hold on.
Ew. That was really nasty.
Wasn't a sneeze.
Oh my gosh. No.
What I have for supper?
Ew. No. Ew. Oh. Okay. Just. Ugh.
Gather round, everybody. It's time for
It's time.
I'm trying to be breathy so I can blow
I know.
money.
But then I started thinking about UFC.
Yeah. UFC. All right.
I sounded just like him too, by the way.
Yeah, you sound just like a dude.
It's time.
For our family meeting. The family meeting is a show that's... Oh, I love you. We should have done this hours ago. Whoosah. Whoosah. Gotta calm down. Whoosah. Saw it in a movie once. It works every time. Try it.
I think it's
You'll calm down.
Oozfraba.
No. It's whoosah. Try it. You'll calm down immediately. See? Family Meeting is a show that's all about family relationships. We're the Ostracamps. I'm Thomas. This is my wife, Oosa.
Hello and welcome to our family. Welcome to episode 179 of the Family Meeting Podcast. On today's episode, we're going to discuss how to bring up hard conversations with your children.
So like talking about like concrete, steel,
Not that kind
other
of
hard stuff.
Not literal, but figurative hard conversations.
Gotcha.
Difficult conversations. We're going to look at Jesus' examples of when he had to bring up hard conversations with his church. How did he do it? What was his pattern? We're going to learn what we should do by following his example in Revelation.
So before we jump into that, listen, podcast listeners and supporters, we love you.
Yes.
But we are tired of the one-way conversations. Mm-hmm. We want to have an actual conversation with you.
Yes.
We want to get your thoughts, your feedback in real time. We don't want to have to wait for voice messages or emails or text or comments. We want to have that conversation with you. And that conversation for February is tomorrow.
Wow, it's tomorrow.
So you've got to jump into the members only section. Go to familymeeting.org, hit shop, and you'll see members only monthly coaching call. $6.99 a month. That's it.
That's less than Netflix.
That's the cost of a Starbucks.
Yeah.
Basically one Starbucks, depending on what your drink is.
Yeah.
Probably less than that now.
Well, it's also split between the husband and the wife.
Yeah. So
It's for two of you. So, hey.
jump into the members only Facebook group. We'll have a great conversation there. We've got some great giveaways that we're going to be doing in that Facebook group. You have more access to your two favorite podcast hosts. Just what you wanted.
I'm so sorry.
But we have the conversation, and we're going to be talking about resolving conflict in your marriage. We all have issues, fights, disagreements, whatever you want to call it. Some people say, well, we never fight. We just disagree very intensely. That's a fight.
You fight.
But
That's okay.
having the right framework to resolve those conflicts. And we have a worksheet that we'll have along with it to help you take some of those steps that you need to take, get some action behind what it is we talk about. And it's a little more deep than and practical than a normal podcast episode might be. So
Right. And what's going to be great is you can ask your questions in that moment. You can make your comments. You can tell your stories, which we can't wait because you've heard all our stories.
Yeah.
We want to hear yours.
I got to do new stupid stuff every week just so we have something to talk about on this podcast.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So if we aren't careful, our lives as parents can become one giant nag fest.
I'm not in danger of that, but I could see how other people in this marriage could become
Wow.
that.
Well, there's only one other person in this marriage, so sounds like you're pointing the finger.
I didn't point any fingers. I did not name any names.
Okay. So let's just take a side note. Most wives that I talk to, and I talk to a lot of wives, most wives say similar things like, my husband doesn't notice when the dishes aren't done. My husband doesn't notice if the kids do their homework. Like, it's a theme that I'm seeing across the board that typically the woman is the one who notices all the stuff and then either goes to her husband and says, like, you got to talk to the kids about this, or she deals with it herself. And this is typical, right? Obviously, there's exceptions to every rule,
Yes.
and it might not be like
Yeah.
this in your home. Or there may be something where your husband, like, he has kind of his soapbox. So maybe there's something that a man is like, maybe it's sports. Like, if you want to succeed in baseball, you're going to have to give it your all. And so maybe he notices practice times, and if you're really putting your heart into
He
that.
definitely notices when they leave the lights on.
Yes. The lights. Maybe your husband is nagging your children all the time
Touched the
about
thermostat again,
lights.
didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. So there are things that dads have issues with.
Yeah.
I would say typically this is more of a mom problem, but I guarantee that there are men who also could get into this rut of just really nagging a lot on your kids.
Well,
and harping on
and
them.
every home has one person who is more into the details of life,
Yes.
just based upon the makeup of their family.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna notice those things more if that's really where you're at.
And each parent has a different level of caring, right? So Thomas loves to say, who cares?
Yeah.
And my answer is always, I care.
Yes, you do care about everything.
So, yeah. So in your marriage, I know that there's one, probably one spouse who cares a little bit more than the other one.
Most things I don't care about until they get to a certain level.
Yeah, which
Like, I'm not bothered if there are dirty dishes in the sink. Now, if they're overtaking the entire kitchen, then I start to care about that.
I'll tell you when you care, when you're inconvenienced. So if you went to go cook something and there were no clean pans, you would be annoyed.
I would be bothered.
Or angered or
Yeah.
whatever. But until it gets to that point, you don't know. Has that ever gotten to that point though?
Yeah, there
Okay.
have been some times.
Okay.
Most of the times you were out of town.
When it's your job to make sure things are getting done.
Yes. I'm like, how is there literally no spoons in this house? Or no, what had happened the other time, last time you left town? Bowls. There was literally no bowls. I went to get a bowl and I'm like, seriously? I got to eat out of this hard hat now? What is happening here?
Mom's gone. That's the problem. Okay, and it is our job as parents to train our children and to teach them to develop their character. We want to point them to Jesus. We want to see them become good siblings, good friends, good workers, good citizens, and all over just well-rounded good people. And we all know that doesn't just happen.
No.
We produce these kind of children by training and teaching. And we put so much time and effort into training them, however, that our kids can begin to like start feeling like all we ever do is harp on them, nag them, correct them.
And that may be true.
Yeah.
That may be what your home has become. And let me just say this. If you are that kind of parent who is always, correcting, harping on, nagging, training them with little else happening in the relationship, most likely you'll be the last person to know it, but your kids definitely feel it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know it? Or are you the last one to know it?
I'm the last one to know it. Yeah. Because I feel like everything I say is justified because they're not doing what they were supposed to be doing, or I'm training them and I'm teaching them and it's my role. And yeah, so I don't even realize that it's happening if I slip into that rut. Definitely. And now I know we usually save our family meetings for the end of the episode, but I do want to recommend that you have a meeting with your kids and just ask them how they feel about this. Do they feel like most of the relationship between the two of you is you telling them what to do or telling them what they did wrong? So see what they say about that and be ready for their response.
Okay. So that's the family meeting idea. So we can wrap this episode up and call it a day.
We're not done, babe.
Oh, really?
No, we need to still look at Jesus' example.
Oh, yeah. I suppose that'd be a good idea. But she talked about hearing what the response is. And that can be a scary thing to do.
Yeah.
Anytime you look at people who are close to you and say, I want you to speak truth into my life. I want you to be honest with me about myself. You think you do.
I want you to honestly tell me how much you love me and how great I am.
Yeah, exactly. But that is a scary, vulnerable place to put yourself into. But it is good for us because we do have blinders. Like Lysandra said, we're often the last one to know and to realize it. So go ahead and ask your kids how they feel about the relationship. How much harping and nagging do they feel like it's going on? Right.
And that may not work if you have 5-year-olds, 4-year-olds.
Exactly. Yeah.
But as they get older, right, even 10, 11, 12 and up, I think you can have this conversation with them, which could be very valuable.
And it's not always what you're saying, but how you're saying it.
Right. Okay. So that's one extreme. The extreme where the parent-child relationship is significantly unbalanced because the parent constantly has something to say or something to correct about the child. But we can be unbalanced in another way too, where we don't correct their behavior the way we should. We allow them to walk all over us and get whatever they want, whenever they want. They can act any way they want, treat other people however they want, and become very selfish human beings. This is unhealthy as well. So we need to have a balance here, right?
Yeah. And often you will have, it's very rare that both parents lean the same direction. You'll often have one parent lean one way and one parent lead the other way. So I think we've all, without saying her name, have established the side that Lysandra falls towards. And I would fall towards the other side.
Absolutely.
Where I'll just kind of let things slide until it's not okay to let them slide anymore. Instead of regularly noticing things the way that I need to. And
here's what's good, and hopefully you see this in your marriage, is your two extremes come together to create a moderately balanced parenting united friend.
Or some Frankenstein.
A monster.
Yeah.
Yes.
Putting all these parts together. But we parents have a job to do. Our children have been given to us by God. They are a wonderful gift.
Yes.
But we are stewards of our children for the 18 years they are in our home. And then hopefully we have a great relationship with them as adults and they invite us into their lives once they've grown. So we must treat our position as a parent with high regard because it is an important job.
Yeah.
In fact, it's probably your most important job that you will have.
Yeah. So when we correct our children, how do we do it? Is it just, okay, you were bad, you were naughty, you failed. You need to do better. And I know that sometimes we don't have a long time, like it's a quick I'm rushing out the door, but they need to know you didn't do the dishes yesterday. You got to do them today or whatever. And you're rushing out the door. And sometimes that does happen. But if that's all that's happening, it's a real problem. We really need to do better in the way we approach correcting our children. And if the only thing you do is say, you're naughty, you're bad, you failed, which of course we tried to always say, what you did was naughty. Not that you are naughty.
Yeah.
What you did was naughty. But anyway, if this is the way it is in your home, Jesus showed us a better way, a way that's going to work better for your home and going to produce better relationships in your family. In Revelation 2 and 3, Jesus has to correct his 7 very specific churches, and he shows us how he does it.
So as you kind of look at these letters to these churches, we're paying attention to how Jesus approaches them. He kind of has a pattern in these letters he's using, but you'll notice that he specifically deals with each of them a little uniquely based upon who they are and what they've done. You have some churches where he just has positive things to say, nothing negative. You've got at least one church where he had nothing positive to say. It was all negative. And then most of them is a mix of the two. Mm-hmm. So depending on what's going on and how serious it is, whether or not he takes time to, hey, you're doing a good job at this, but you've got a problem with this. So the severity of what's happening will dictate the conversation. And of course, your children are all different. They need to be handled a little bit differently. But there's a pattern that he follows when he gives correction. And this is kind of the pattern we want to follow in our parenting as well. The first thing Jesus does is remind the churches of their relationship. And this is something that we can do to our children as well. It will sound a little different depending how old your children are. If you have little ones, you might say something like, I'm your mommy, and I'll always love you. And you can start the conversation like that. Now, that'd be weird if I did that, but...
Because you're not their mommy.
But, hey, I love you. I'm your dad, and I've been given a responsibility to watch out for you.
Yeah.
And you're just constantly reminding of the relationship, of your love for them. And we try to make sure that our kids know, no matter what happens in life, no matter what you do, like, I'm going to still love you.
Right.
I'm still going to be your dad. I'm still going to be your mom. And I think it's important for us to make sure we're taking the time to do that.
Yeah.
Often we just jump into whatever the negative thing is we've got to correct without getting a good foundation. Because when we're correcting somebody, we immediately put them on the defensive.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when that happens, they're not ready to receive us. But hey, I want to remind you who it is we're talking to here. I am your dad. You are my daughter. You are my son. And nothing's going to change that.
That's right. All right. The second thing Jesus does is he assures his church that he sees the good things they do. This is what's often lacking in our parenting. It's so easy to see the negative, but you have to work extra hard to see the positives. And we talked about this in last week's episode quite a bit. We dug pretty deep into the fact that you'll find what you're looking for. So if this is maybe a challenge for you in your life, go back to last week's episode, episode 178, and listen to ways that you can correct this mindset where you can start looking for the positives. But Jesus says, I see your works. I see the good things that you're doing. So before you ever approach your child about a correction or an improvement, be prepared with something that they've been doing well. And depending on how rough your child is, this may take some preparation. It might not be so simple as to just walk into it blind and come up with something right off the top of your head. Like, you may have to look for that good thing. Like, okay, what are they doing that is obedient or is fulfilling, what they've been expected to do? But be prepared with something good to say to them.
Well, and this is in the moment, right? When you're having this hard conversation. But this hard conversation, there should have been a lot of praise going on up till this. I think that's often what's lacking in a lot of homes is parents who are quick to recognize the good things that are happening and praising them on the spot. And that will make these hard conversations a lot easier. When I have put in the praise and the thanks and all that, I've recognized them for what they are doing correct all along. Then when it comes to having a hard conversation, it's not just an empty word when I praise them. Because if literally the only positive thing I ever say to my child is something right before I'm going to tell them something negative, they don't hear the positive.
Yeah.
So I've got positives in the bank because I've been praising them. When they pick up their room, when they do their chores like I've asked them to, they may not do it without me asking, but when I asked them to, they did it and did a good job. And so just think about that, the grades, how they behave, their interactions with other people. Just notice when they're thoughtful and they're loving and they're kind and say something that leads into this conversation going a lot better than if I've only ever said negative things and now I'm going to say a positive thing before I have a hard conversation with them.
It could sound like a manipulation tool.
And it's not intended to be.
No.
It's tended to be something that just kind of reassures them. Like, I don't just see the negative. I want you to understand I do see the positive. But one of the things he does here, okay, so he sees the positive, and then you notice that he discusses that good thing before he discusses the bad thing they've been doing. So if your children are older, it may sound something like this. I'm your dad. You'll always be my son, and I'm really proud of you. And then you're going to get specific. So I see how hard you work on the ball field. You give it your all, and I think that's awesome. Or I see how kind you are to your sisters, and I'm really proud of the way that you protect them. And so I'm being very specific in the positives that I do see in my child. And I want to make sure that they know that I do see the positives. I don't only see the negatives. And it's easy for children to feel like that. It's easy for our kids to feel like we only see the negative things, but a lot of times that's because we're not quick with the praise.
Yeah. And another thing to think about in this point here is it may be something like, I recognize and appreciate your honesty in telling me the truth that you cheated on your test. I'm really proud of you for being honest. Now, I'm still going to have to deal with the fact that you cheated.
Right.
But you were honest. And so, maybe even in the bad thing that they did, there may be a positive aspect of it. Make sure you're recognizing that and pointing that out too. But Jesus didn't stop with the good things that they do, and we shouldn't either. If we notice the positive in our children's lives only and never correct the negative, we're going to create monsters, right? So we can't just stop there. Oh, I love how hardworking you are. I see how you always do your homework. You treat your siblings like trash, but you really do your homework all the time. And you're not even talking about the fact that, not correcting the behavior between the siblings, right? Yeah. So that's going to create monsters. The next thing Jesus does is he says, I have something against you. He says, I have this thing over here that you need to correct.
We got a problem here.
We got a problem. In other words, there's a problem. There's a way that you are not living up to your full potential and not doing what's right or not meeting the expectation.
So in a parent-child setting, it might look like this. I am your mom.
Mom, you have a deep voice.
Yeah. I'll always be your mom, and I'm so glad you're my child. Maybe we should have probably swapped who said this.
Yeah.
But here we go. Okay. No, I got it. I'm going to nail this.
Nail it, babe.
I love you so much. I really appreciate how you are always doing your chores and keeping your room so neat and tidy. That's a really important thing. But school is also important. And I'm seeing that you're not getting your homework done on time or getting your assignments in. So you are praising them. You see the good. They're clean, they're taking care of their room, those responsibilities, but they're letting some other responsibilities falter. And they're not trying like they should in their schoolwork. So doesn't mean they're going to get straight A's. Mm-hmm. But hey, you aren't applying yourself. You are not doing your best. You're not getting your assignments done.
Mm-hmm. Okay. After Jesus describes the things in which they are falling short, he then tells them what they can do to correct it. And this is an important step. He gives them action steps, a course correction. And we should do this with our children as well. So it'll sound something like this. I'm your mom or your dad. I love you. You'll always be my child. I'm proud of you for this or that or the other. These are the things you need to work on, and then list those. Now you're going to say something like, but if you don't begin to share your toys like you're told, I'm going to put your toys away until you're ready to be kind. So you need to start sharing your toys. And if not, I'm going to take them away. So you're giving them an action step they need to share. And then you're also kind of giving them this, an expected consequence. So they understand what is going to happen if they don't correct their behavior. Jesus did this to the churches in Revelation. He said, if you can't repent, if you can't turn away from this sin, this wrongdoing that you're doing, then you're going to have a different consequence. And in each church, I think every single church was a different consequence, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So the consequences, the punishment fits the crime, so to speak, right? So you're going to let them know ahead of time what the consequence will be. And maybe your children are little. You can have conversations with a small child about this. You know, if you don't start sharing, we are going to put your toys away until you're ready to be kind, and then I'll get them back in. I'm not throwing your toys away, but I'm going to withhold them from you until you've proven to me that you can share the way you need to. So they have an action step and they have an expected consequence.
Well, and I like giving them opportunity to, when it's appropriate, correct the action.
Yeah, God does that for us so much.
And the letter to the church in Thyatira, he had something against them. He says, hey, you tolerate this woman and list the wrong things that she was leading them into. But he says, I gave her time to repent. I gave her a chance to acknowledge her actions, confess it, and then turn around and do what's right. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a great example for us as parents. Obviously, if it involves their personal safety or somebody else's or whatever, it's going to be something totally different. But most of the things we deal with as parents, that's not it. Mm-hmm. It's, hey, you didn't do the dishes and it was your turn and your time to do it. And so I'm going to give you a chance to go back and do it right. It's deep cleaning time around here at our house.
Yes, it is.
And we gave each of our kids an extra chore, a deep cleaning chore that has to be done by tonight.
Yep, before they go to sleep tonight.
So otherwise there's going to be repercussions for that. Mm-hmm. So let's just say, let's see, who's supposed, was it Abigail on baseboards?
Abigail already did her chore. Yep.
We'll inspect and see how well she did it. But the baseboards are the thing that the kids don't like because of spider webs. They're afraid of spider webs.
Oh, we don't have any spiders in our house.
Of course not. It's just
kidding.
Florida.
No, we have spiders. We have spider webs. Yeah.
So, and we spray and whatever else. But they don't like it because of that. So that's the job they all hate. Abigail drew the short straw.
It was her time.
So let's say tomorrow morning comes and we check to see whose chores are done and the baseboards aren't done all the way. Whether she missed a room or missed a spot or whatever else. I'm not just going to bring down the hammer. I'm going to say, all right, hey, I noticed that the baseboards in the kitchen aren't great. Did you do them? And having a conversation about it. But I'm going to give her an opportunity to correct it. Mm-hmm. And that's a great thing for us to do. When your kids don't do what they're supposed to do, whether it's a chore or something else, Don't just do it for them.
Right.
They'll learn you're going to do it for them. Mm-hmm. Give them a chance to do it. Give them a chance to correct the behavior.
So let's say Abigail doesn't correct her behavior and she doesn't do the baseboards in the kitchen or do them well. The following day, we look at it, they're still not done. Did you do those baseboards? And you can choose how many times you give this opportunity for repentance and for them to get it right and do it. But eventually, we're going to have one of these hard conversations. And we're going to say, okay, Abigail, I'm your mom. I love you. And you're doing so many good things. I see how you're doing mentoring with this friend and you're doing your weekly Bible study with this other friend. And I'm so proud of the way that you are serving the Lord in our church and you're teaching your class. You're doing so many good things. But you've been told many times about these baseboards and you're already way past your deadline. So I need you to do these baseboards. And if they're not done by tonight, you're going to be grounded for 3 full days. No fun, no friends, no activities, no grandma and grandma's house, no TV,
no snacks,
no phone. Like it's going to get ugly. And so then she's now got the consequence, the expected consequence, and the new deadline that is like, this is the end of mercy. This is the end of grace.
And Jesus, you look at those letters in chapters 2 and 3 of Revelation. He's very specific about what the consequence is.
Mm-hmm. He is.
Of not doing what's right.
And we will share with you a real personal story that is something happening with one of our daughters, and we won't tell you who, because if you'll notice on this podcast, if we tell you something positive that our kids did, you'll hear who did it. You'll hear their name. But if we're telling a story about a negative thing that happened, we never tell you which daughter it is. And the good thing is we don't just have like one son and one daughter.
Exactly.
You don't know which daughter did this, right? So I own a painting company, and I paint interiors and exteriors of homes. And sometimes we hire our daughters to help us. Sometimes I bring in Thomas, my main man, and he comes in.
I work for free.
He works for free, so I like to hire him. And he's a roller.
Yep, I got plenty of rolls.
That's why I wanted you.
Wow.
And
that was your opportunity to be like, no, babe.
Oh yeah, you don't have rolls.
Wow.
Oops. But he'll come in and roll. And if it's a really big job,
or we are in a time crunch,
I will hire the 3 older daughters. Depending on what their schedule is, it may be all 3, it may be one or the other, whatever. So we have hired one of these daughters many times. And many times we have found spots that she missed, and I've had to, kind of go in after her and catch it or make her go back and do it and whatnot. And sure enough, the last house that we painted, I found a gaping spot.
After 2 coats, it still had the old color showing.
So she missed the spot 2 times. And which just means that she wasn't doing careful work. And this, like I said, this has happened several times. So we have to have the hard conversation.
And we actually talked about, okay, which one of us should have the conversation? Mm-hmm. When should we have it? And
will it be better received from mom or will it be better received from dad? And we both agreed.
It would be dad.
Dad's going to do it because I've done it so many times.
The best time to have the conversation is next time we're going to have her give her the opportunity to work for us. I'm going to have a conversation ahead of time. Mm-hmm. And say, this is what happened at the last job.
He's going to show her the picture because I took a picture of it.
Hey, if this happens again, we won't be able to have you work. Like, you won't be able to work and get the money because we do hire them. Like, we pay them to do this. And
they ask us to hire them. They want the money. They want the work.
The consequence will be, if you're not careful and you're not doing good work, we won't hire you because this can affect our business now and our income and our livelihood. And so, understanding when's the best time to have this conversation?
Yes, right.
How do we have it? Yep. Who should have the conversation?
Yeah,
and there are times, like we said, there's one of you that may tend to lean towards, the nagging side of things, or like you're always harping on them. Sometimes having that other person be the one to have the conversation because the child, because of how the relationship has worked, might receive it better from somebody else.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And so when he has this conversation with this daughter, he's going to follow this pattern. He's going to follow this pattern of reminding them, I'm your dad. I love you. You'll always be my daughter, and I'm really proud of you. And he will go through and he'll list the positive things that he sees and talk about the fact that he's proud of her for wanting to work and having a good work ethic and showing up and having a great attitude while she was working and all of this stuff. And then he'll bring in that negative thing. Then she's going to hear the expected consequence and the opportunity to do better.
And this is the pattern that Jesus showed us in Revelation. And it's a great pattern for us to follow when bringing up hard conversations to our children. And of course, this can apply to having hard conversations with your spouse, with your boss, with your employees, your child's teachers, your neighbors, or anybody else that you need to have a hard conversation with. Mm-hmm. And speaking of hard conversations, we've got a family meeting tonight. Mm-hmm. And the family meeting is just what Lysandra had mentioned earlier. It's sitting down and having a conversation with your kids about, okay, how do you feel about our relationship and the correction that happens here? Do you feel like I'm too negative? Do you feel like I'm always nagging you? Do you feel like I come down too hard on you? Do I praise you enough? Do I notice the good things you're doing enough? And basically, you're getting some feedback from your kids as they're old enough to respond in a truthful and a meaningful way with you as best as they can, how that relationship is going so that you can understand where you're at and the steps that you need to take. Maybe you do need to give a little more effort in praising your kids on the regular and noticing the day-to-day stuff that they're doing well. And that way, when you have the hard conversations, you understand how your child's going to receive it. Mm-hmm. If you get feedback and your child feels like you're just negative all the time, you're nagging me all the time, you've got to be a lot more intentional about how you're going to have these hard conversations, because you have to have them.
You have to.
You can't take the feedback and say, well, my kids think I'm negative all the time, so that means I can't correct them and I can't have the hard conversations. No, you have to. It's just all that more important for you to kind of follow this pattern.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for joining us today. Please go and subscribe to the Family Meeting podcast from your favorite podcast provider. And if you found this information helpful, please share this episode on social media and invite your friends and family to listen in with you.
To find more content and information Lysandra and I provide, you can go to our website, familymeeting.org, or email us at info@familymeeting.org. If you'd like to shoot us a text or call us, you can send a voice message at 904-257-3062.
And we want to invite you to join us for our next family meeting. I should say our next racy family meeting.
I like the sound of this. Here we go.
It's going to get risque, because we are going to talk about the 5 love languages and how you can enhance your sexual relationship with your spouse using them during times of intimacy.
I recommend touch. That's one of them.
Let's say that's the obvious one, but there are others.
I'm very excited to talk about this.
Yeah, I know you are.
Thanks for joining us today for this family meeting. Have a great week, everybody. This meeting is adjourned. All right. Love you, babe.
Love you, babe. Love you, YouTubers.
And we're going to talk to you in person tomorrow.
Ooh, I can't wait.
I can see you right now opening up a new tab on your computer and jumping in and joining the membership. That way you don't miss out tomorrow night.
It's going to be great. See you then.